Hey y'all, this is Brad, and I designed and 3D printed this amazing little device. This is a lacto-fermentation lock that fits onto any standard size ball jar or mason jar, whatever you want to call them. And all it does is just lock on, and you fill this up with water, and it lets you ferment vegetables, kimchi, sauerkraut, you name it, you can probably do it. So today we're going to try this out and see if these actually work and see how well they do. And of course, we're going to put these on our Etsy store, so head over there if you are interested in buying them.
So we're going to start everything off by sanitizing, and here I'm using a chemical sanitizer that I got from my local homebrew store. I will not be using a heat sanitization process because the plastics in this don't like to get super hot. So even though you can sterilize your jars and such with boiling, we are going to be using a chemical sanitizer for all of the plastics and everything here. So since I'm doing that, I'm going to just do it all. You want to sanitize everything. These are our homemade lids that we're testing out, and I don't have a ton of experience with fermenting things in general, at least not specific experience with lacto-fermenting pickles. I've done it a couple times, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know what my problem is, but we are just going to prep our veggies and see how far this goes. So we are starting off by just cleaning all our veggies, cutting off the nasty bits, peeling carrots, washing everything before we start. Get everything nice and clean, and we should be ready to go after this. We went really hard with the vegetables for this, and we are kind of doing this as an experiment to see what does well and what doesn't, and hopefully this will kickstart our pickling career. But I definitely want to get more into these like home ferments and pickles and whatnot. So while I have done this a couple times before, I haven't succeeded every time, and I just figured the more you do it, the more you will succeed and figure out what's right and what's wrong and how everything goes. So we've got cabbage, we've got spring onions, we got spicy peppers, we have sweet peppers, cauliflower, carrots, cucumbers that'll just be like a regular pickle, some onions, just anything that we saw at the store and thought, hey, that might be good pickled. We grabbed it. So we chopped and prepped everything ahead of time so we can load everything all together and look at these beautiful, colorful vegetables. I am so thrilled. So next, on to picking some spices. We're doing a couple different spice blends for each of these. Turmeric cauliflower, spicy pickles, not so spicy pickles. We're doing sumac in the onions, and we will be adding bay leaves to a lot of these and some wood chips to some of them. Both of these items add tannins to the pickles, which is supposed to help keep them crispy. Again, we're not professionals here. We're just reading online and seeing how it goes. But I'm very excited for all of these combinations. Getting creative with the black pepper. Not really creative. What's creative is the wood chips, I suppose. I don't know what's creative anymore. You let me know. If you have a favorite pickle recipe, comment it below so I can try it out. Again, we looked online for a couple recipes and we came up with some hybrid recipes ourselves, just going through our pantry, adding mustard seed, caraway, all that good stuff. Just getting creative up in here. Obviously caraway for the sauerkraut, because classic. Sumac for the pickled onions. Maybe that'll help keep them nice and pink. So next we're going to be adding fresh garlic, peeled obviously, popping that in the bottom so hopefully it doesn't float to the top because we don't want anything floating in these jars. And then we're just going to pack in our veggies as tight as we can, again, to hopefully keep them from poking out the top, because anything exposed to air is going to increase the chances of mold, and we are about to see how that turns out for us. But we are just packing and cramming and all that good stuff. So for the sauerkraut, we're actually massaging in a bunch of kosher salt per a recipe we found. And not adding any actual liquid to the pickle, the salt will draw out the water that's already in the cabbage, and it should be enough to pickle itself without adding any pickling liquid. So we had to switch jars there because our pickling weight did not fit in the narrow-topped jar. So we switched jars. But other than that, we put a weight on and closed up the sauerkraut. And now we're mixing up a 5% salt water solution to add to our pickles. According to my research online, this was a good place to start, and you can kind of add more or less salt from there depending on the results. There's a lot of variation in how much you're supposed to add to get a perfect pickle based on sort of the acidity of the vegetable that you're pickling. And maybe that has something to do with how these pickles themselves turned out. I'm going to have to do a lot more research on that. But just pause to show off our super fancy, brand new designed fermenting lid. So this is a plastic 3D printed lid with a rubberized plastic seal that fits a standard fermenting lock on top, like an airlock. So we started printing these in a couple of different colors, and we are going to be continuously using them for ourselves, but we also figured that we would throw them on Etsy in case anybody is interested. And if you're interested, check that out. I'm sure Brad will link it below. But we're super thrilled with how these lids turned out, so definitely go check them out if you are into pickling yourself and want to convert a standard size or a largemouth mason jar into a fermenting vessel. So, things to look out for when you're fermenting. If things start to look fuzzy and hairy and smell very off like this, throw that jar out. It is not worth your time. Toss it out. Something happened. It was contaminated somehow, and move on. So this jar just had a couple little floaties. No sign of mold, no sign of nothing nasty. Smelled just fine, and I just scraped off the top, kind of scooped out any of the little floaties just to hopefully prevent future mold, and screwed the top back on. So if anything looks like it's going bad, leave it out. Don't even try it. And now it's time for a taste test. It has been about a week and a half with these pickles. It's been cooler around here, so hopefully this will have been enough time. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it takes less, so just check on them frequently. I'm so happy that a couple of the vegetable ones turned out just fine. I'm super thrilled with these lids and how easy they were to use compared to what we've done in the past. And I'm super excited to add these brightly colored pickles to my fridge stock.
ASMR crunches.
The veggies turned out delicious, and so did the sauerkraut. I am absolutely thrilled with these lids. If you are interested in these lids, again, they are on our Etsy. Check out the link below. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, and follow us for more. Bye!